Welcome back to the new episode by Neverland Syndrome. Today's story, we are exploring the Unwritten season, a narrative that, well, it really explores the collision between duty and desire.
Mm.
And honestly, looking at the notes for this one, I feel like we are walking into a minefield of emotions today.
Oh, absolutely.
It is not just a romance story. It is a really complex look at the choices we make when life just throws you a curveball and, how we try to navigate the wreckage.
It certainly is. And what I love about this story is that it isn't just about the plot, which is, I mean, it's gripping on its own, but it's about the architecture of relationships.
Architecture, yeah.
It forces us to ask some pretty uncomfortable questions, like what holds a life together?
Mm.
Is it that wild passion, the earthquake, or is it the structural integrity of a blueprint?
That is the mission for today, then. We are going to deconstruct those metaphors. We have seawalls, we have manuscripts versus blueprints, and I think the difference between hearing the world and actually listening to it.
A huge difference.
So let's set the scene. The source material opens with this incredibly moody, almost noir imagery.
It really does.
We are on the Thames Embankment in London. It is dawn. The river is described as the color of lead, and that's where we meet our protagonist, James.
And James is a fascinating character study right from page one. He's described as a man who is listening too hard.
Right.
He is a professional sound recordist, but the text makes it so clear this is more than just a job for him. He's, walking through London with a digital recorder,
Yeah.
capturing ambient noise.
Traffic, water.
Distant sirens, yeah. He is trying to find, and this is the quote, a frequency that makes sense.
Which immediately tells you he hasn't found it yet. He captures this low G hum, which he calls the bass line of the city, but he is really waiting for silence. Or,
True.
well, a silence that isn't silent.
Yeah.
It sounds exhausting, honestly. Living your life with the gain turned all the way up, filtering every single input.
Precisely. He is looking for order in all the chaos. He is using his equipment almost like a shield between himself and the world.
And into this gray, auditory, hyper-controlled world walks a splash of absolute visual chaos.
Enter Eloise.
Yes, Eloise. She is wearing a vibrant crimson coat, completely at odds with the monochrome city. And importantly, she isn't recording anything. She is helping a kid untangle a kite.
It is the classic clash of perspectives right from the jump, isn't it? James captures the world. Eloise engages with it. She is a graphic novelist, right?
She is. So she is visual where he is auditory. She creates where he just archives.
Exactly. James sees her as a visual haiku. Short, punchy, vivid. She breaks his concentration, which is exactly what he needs. He's the archivist. She is the artist.
He preserves the past. She is actively creating the moment.
Right.
They meet later at a bookshop in Bristol because, where else would two characters like this meet? And this interaction is where the intellectual sparks start flying. James is reading an essay he wrote. He's feeling pretty good about himself, it seems, and he drops this line that he thinks is incredibly profound.
Oh, this line, yes.
We build our commitments like seawalls against the tide of our own desires.
Let's just pause on that for a second. Seawalls against the tide. It sounds noble, doesn't it? It sounds like integrity. It sounds like discipline.
It does. It sounds like you are the hero of your own story, holding back the flood to protect the land.
But Eloise, who is in the audience, she just calls him out on it instantly. And this is the first key insight for everyone listening today.
It really is.
She tells him the metaphor is fundamentally flawed. She says, seawalls get eroded. If your commitment is that fragile, it was never a wall. It was just a line drawn in wet sand.
That is a brutal takedown for a first meeting.
So brutal.
But she has a point, doesn't she? If you have to build a fortress just to keep yourself from cheating or abandoning your responsibilities.
Then the water has already won. Exactly. She's pointing out that if your integrity requires this constant, exhausting defense against your own nature, it is not integrity. It is suppression.
And that just foreshadows the entire conflict of the story. James is trying to hold back the ocean, and Eloise is the ocean.
So naturally, despite this, or maybe because of it, they fall into this intense romance.
Which the source describes as a fierce collaboration. I like that phrasing. It isn't soft.
No, not at all. It is his soundscapes meeting her storyboards. They're deciphering each other. But then James makes a mistake here. He gets swept up and tells her, I would rewrite my history for you.
Which is the classic romantic line. Right?
Totally. We've heard variations of that in 1,000 movies.
Yeah.
But Eloise rejects it. She says, our history's made us. I just want to be in the next chapter.
That is so crucial. It establishes her as someone who is future-focused.
Yes. James is obsessed with recording and archiving the past.
Yeah.
She just wants to move forward. She doesn't want to erase who he was. She just wants to be part of who he becomes.
But then the past doesn't just knock on the door, it kicks it down. James gets a phone call. 3 in the morning. It is his father. James's brother, Leo, the stable one, the army engineer, has been killed in a helicopter training accident in the Scottish Highlands.
And instantly, James's world of clear frequencies.
Yeah.
It just creates a vacuum. The text says his life fills with white noise. This tragedy is the mechanism that just breaks the whole narrative open.
It strips away all that romantic philosophy and replaces it with raw grief.
Mm.
We have to talk about the funeral scene, and specifically about Anna, Leo's fiancée. The description of her is, well, it is heartbreaking, but it is also worrying.
Very. She is described as hollowed out, a vessel waiting to be filled with a purpose that no longer exists.
That phrasing is so intentional. Anna is presented almost as a ghost, a blank slate.
And because she is so passive in her grief, she invites others to project their needs onto her. And the person doing the projecting is James's father.
Ugh, this conversation made my stomach churn reading it. They are in the kitchen, emotions are high, and the father tells James about Leo's last email. Leo was worried about Anna, said she needs an anchor.
And then he drops this heavy, heavy guilt trip. He essentially asks James to take Leo's place.
It is an ethical trap. When James tries to explain that he has a life, that he has Eloise, his father asks this devastating question.
Is your happiness worth more than his peace?
How do you even answer that? It feels like emotional blackmail.
It is emotional blackmail, but it's effective blackmail. It frames James's own desires as selfish and his suffering as noble. The father equates duty with love. He is asking James to become his brother to fill the void.
He wants to plug the hole in the family portrait with James.
Exactly.
So James caves. He chooses the seawall. He meets Eloise in a cafe in Bristol to break it off. He talks about duty, responsibility, family honor.
And Eloise, she doesn't cry.
No, she just dissects him again.
She delivers what I think is the most cutting line in the whole narrative. She says, the man who records the sound of silence is choosing to live inside it.
Ouch. That stings.
It should. She accuses him of choosing guilt and just dressing it up as nobility. She sees right through him. He isn't being a hero, he is hiding.
He is afraid to claim his own life, so he is stepping into someone else's script because it is safer.
It is easier to be a martyr than to be happy.
So they break up. The bell on the cafe door jingles, described as the sound of a future ending. James marries Anna. And we jump forward 5 years.
And the description of their marriage is just bleak.
It is tragic in its banality. They are polite roommates. It is all transactional. They talk about the car needing an MOT or his father's rheumatism.
And James gives up his creative writing. He takes a job recording oral histories.
I noted that irony. He is preserving other people's pasts because his own life is entombed. He is a spectator in his own marriage.
Meanwhile, Eloise has moved on. She is in Edinburgh, and she has married a historian named Alistair Reid. The text calls it a sensible match.
Which brings us to the twist of fate, or, just the chaotic randomness of life. James is in Edinburgh for a conference, steps off a curb, and gets hit by a delivery van. And when he wakes up in the hospital, who is his doctor?
Dr. Alistair Reid, Eloise's husband.
You have to appreciate the narrative irony there. It feels almost Shakespearean.
It is a bit heavy-handed, but it's effective. The narrative sets up this sanctuary figure. Alistair, literally healing the broken body of the earthquake figure, James.
Alistair is competent, calm, reassuring. He is everything James is not in that moment.
And then Eloise walks into the hospital room. She was visiting a colleague, sees his name on the list, and despite 5 years of silence, the connection it's still there.
It is described as a dam breaking. They start talking about books, art, ideas. Suddenly the color comes flooding back into James's gray world.
It highlights just how starved he was for that intellectual and emotional intimacy. He has been living on a diet of small talk for 5 years, and suddenly he is feasting again.
Once James is discharged, Eloise drives him up to Arthur's Seat, that big hill overlooking Edinburgh, and this is where they finally address the elephant in the room. Eloise admits she married a sanctuary. She calls Alistair steady ground.
But then she says, but you were the earthquake, and I have missed the shaking.
That line hit me hard. I think a lot of people can relate to that. We choose stability because it is smart, it is safe. But there is a part of the human spirit that craves the tremor, the intensity.
Is the dopamine versus serotonin debate, isn't it?
Okay.
Alistair is serotonin contentment, safety, well-being.
Yeah.
James is dopamine, the rush, the risk, High highs and low lows.
And Eloise, being an artist, feeds on the shaking. She needs the volatility to feel alive.
So they start an affair. And not just a one-night stand. This goes on for a whole year.
A year. Weekends in Fife, hotels in Glasgow, and artistically it lights them both up. James starts writing feverishly again. Eloise's sketches become tumultuous.
It is like they need the sin to create the art.
They are each other's muses. But the text notes that the guilt is an acid drip. It is sustaining them creatively, but it is eroding them morally.
They are living a double life, and James is lying to Anna, who is just accepting his absences with that same passive trust she has always had.
And then comes the dinner party. This scene had me sweating reading it.
Oh, me too.
James and Anna are invited to the Reed's house. Alistair is the perfect host, but then he gets James alone in the study. I was expecting a punch. I was expecting him to scream, "Get away from my wife!"
And that is why this scene is brilliant. Alistair completely defies the trope of the angry, jealous husband. He doesn't yell. He offers a history lesson.
A history lesson?
Of all things, yes. He tells James, devastating collapses are rarely from external force. They are from a slow, internal erosion of foundation.
He is talking about buildings, but he's really talking about people. About marriage.
And he knows. He knows everything.
He reveals he has seen Eloise's sketchbooks. They are full of a man who isn't him. And this is where Alistair shows just incredible dignity.
Incredible. He tells James that he won't stand in the way. He says, if the earthquake is what she truly needs, I will step aside.
But there is a warning, right? It wasn't just a free pass.
A massive warning. He tells James to look at the rubble before he decides to live in it. He is forcing James to acknowledge the cost.
The rubble is Anna. The rubble is Alistair.
You can build a life on the destruction of others, but you have to be willing to live among the ruins.
That is such a powerful ultimatum. It is not get out. It is grow up. It forces James to move from the fantasy, the romantic weekends, to the reality.
Exactly. Alistair is acting as the reality principal here. He's the adult in the room. He is telling James, you can have the earthquake, but earthquakes destroy cities. Are you ready for the aftermath?
And reality hits hard immediately after. As they leave the party, Anna gets sick. A week later, they find out she is pregnant.
This is the turning point. The blueprint changes. Before, the marriage was based on a promise to a dead man. Abstract duty. Now it is a loving fact. A child.
The equation has shifted from the past to the future.
Entirely.
So James and Eloise meet one last time. Calton Hill. It is windy, it is cold. And Eloise, she ends it.
She does, and she uses the metaphor that I think defines this entire story. This is the takeaway if you remember nothing else. She tells James that they have been playing a dangerous game. She admits that Alistair and Anna are good people, and that she and James are architects of chaos.
Architects of Chaos. Great band name, by the way.
It is.
But she then compares their love to a manuscript.
Yes. She says their love is like a beautiful, rare manuscript.
Yeah.
It belongs in an archive. It should be treasured. It is valuable. But, and this is the key, it cannot be used as a blueprint for daily life.
Okay, let's unpack that. What is the difference between the manuscript and the blueprint in this context?
She is distinguishing between passion and sustainability. A rare manuscript is something you look at with awe, something delicate and inspiring. It's full of beauty and history. But you can't build a house out of it.
You can't raise a child inside it.
Exactly. A blueprint is technical, structural, sometimes boring. It is just lines on paper, but it keeps the roof over your head. She is realizing that what she has with James is art, but what she needs for life is architecture.
That is heartbreakingly practical, but it makes sense. You can't live in a museum. She tells him to go home and build something real.
It is the ultimate act of love, in a way, letting him go so he can actually live, rather than just existing in a fantasy of what could have been.
She saves him from destroying his own life.
She does.
So we fade to the conclusion. Months later, spring, in the Yorkshire Dales, we are at the churchyard again, by Leo's grave. But something is different about Anna.
She is no longer the ghost. The text says she is grounded, present. She is holding a bunch of heather, standing with one hand on her pregnant stomach.
The baby has given her the anchor she needed, but it didn't come from James being Leo. It came from the new life they created together.
And James has this realization. He compares his relationship with Eloise to a wildfire, beautiful, all-consuming. But he looks at Anna and sees the slow, deep growth of oak.
Rooted in shared history, watered by sacrifice.
It is a less glamorous metaphor than the fire or the earthquake, but an oak tree endures storms. It provides shelter. James realizes that the space they have cleared together, through pain, through duty, and now through this new life, is actually a form of love. It's just a different kind.
It reminds me of that idea that love isn't just a feeling, it is a practice. It is something you do.
Precisely. And they start walking back to the cottage. Anna mentions she heard a curlew bird. She says, sound carries so clearly up here.
And this is the moment of redemption for James. Throughout the story, he has been obsessed with recording, capturing the frequency, archiving the moment.
He has always been an observer, separated from life by his microphone and his headphones.
But this time, he hears the curlew, the sound of return, but he doesn't reach for his recorder.
He doesn't.
He just holds his wife's hand. He listens.
And that is a huge shift.
Yeah.
He is finally living in the moment rather than trying to archive it. He has stopped trying to rewrite the past or capture the present for later consumption. He is just there.
That is why it is called the Unwritten season.
He has finally stopped writing and started living.
Wow. It really makes you think about how often we try to, curate our lives instead of just experiencing them. We are so busy snapping the photo or recording the voice note that we miss the actual event.
Or we are so busy looking for the earthquake that we don't notice the oak tree growing right next to us. It raises an important question for all of us. Are we holding on to a rare manuscript that belongs in a museum, trying to force it to be the blueprint for our Tuesday mornings?
That is a thought that is going to stick with me. The difference between the love we want, the earthquake, and the love that sustains us, the oak, and whether we have the wisdom to tell the difference before the collapse.
Indeed. Sometimes the quietest sounds are the ones most worth listening to.
Well, on that note, thank you for listening. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode by Neverland Syndrome.